I don't know. I I I think that they know that today is huge, and that you don't want to hop on a plane back to Edmonton.
Let's get to our friend Mike Ryan of Meadowlark Le Batard Show. You know him. He's a regular on this program. We love him so much. Mike Ryan, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me again. This is a great day to win a cup. Hopefully, this is the last morning I wake up as a one-time Stanley Cup champion. Looking forward to waking up, hopefully, a two-time back-to-back Stanley Cup champion tomorrow.
Is your name going on the cup?
Yeah, immortalized forever. As an original seven franchise, you invoke the Florida Panthers often when you talk about Lord Stanley. And yeah, if you look at last year's, I'm there. I haven't checked for myself, but I'm pretty sure.
You're the first Mike on the Stanley Cup. Last year, there was going to be the first Evan, but people slept on the fact that there was not yet a Michael on the Stanley Cup. Do you think that you do have such a waking experience tomorrow?
Hopefully I don't wake up at all because I'm partying the entire night. I don't know. This Panther team has played with its food a couple of times this postseason. Had an opportunity to put Toronto away at home. Decided it'd be more fun to do that on the road in Toronto. Had an opportunity to actually sweep Rob Rendamore and have fun with that meme, but they decided to give that game up. So I don't know. I think that they know that today is huge, and that you don't want to hop on a plane back to Edmonton, because they've been so good on the road. There is this weird, like, well, I guess it's not the end of the world the way that it would be in previous years, but I really sincerely hope that they approach this game like they want to win the cup desperately. Now, I also wouldn't play the result. It depends. Maybe they come out completely flat and you can actually say that about it. But if they lose this game, it's not because they took it easy. It's because they're going up against a damn good team. Edmonton over these last 2 years could be an all-time team for all we know that just ended up running into another all-time team.
Well, I think that's kind of a question that I wanted to ask you is like, where do you feel Edmonton is in all of this? And where do you feel Connor McDavid and his legacy is as a result of this cup final? Because I have wondered, like, are the Oilers like running out of gas, or are they just running into the Panthers?
I think they're running into the Panthers, and normally I'm everybody's heard this time of year guy. I know Matthew Tkachuk is injured severely, and he's out there. He doesn't look like himself even the last couple of games. He's kind of turned it on. Forsling's dealing with some stuff. Everybody's dealing with some stuff, but I do think Edmonton's really missing Hyman. And while I think that player is overrated, the trait that he has affected Bob in this postseason. People have effectively at times screened on Bob. Toronto did a really good job of it. Corey Perry's doing a pretty good job of it for Edmonton. That's not to take away from Zach Hyman. If anything, they could use another body doing that. But to answer your question, I think this is a lot like the Spurs Heat series. They also met up back-to-back years. That first year was essentially the first time I've ever felt like an NBA Finals was a tie when Ray Allen hit that shot. And you could argue like, holy cow, San Antonio that year might have been one of the greatest teams of all time. They just ran into the Heat Big Three, who are also one of the greatest teams of all time. Hopefully it goes differently for a South Florida sports team and that San Antonio completely wiped the floor with them in the rematch. And we already know that that's a little different. But I do think typically you guys tell me, typically two Stanley Cups in a row don't really get you in that conversation. You need another one in a certain span. I think the fact that they've made 3 straight Cup finals and they're running into the generation's greatest player in Connor McDavid does give some additional juice if this team were to win, to have some all-time conversations and certainly frame their work in the dynastic conversation.
Okay, here's my keys to you becoming a dynasty, which you could become. Like, obviously, you got to win tonight, or you got to win this series, and you got to win back-to-back. This is going to be music to your ears. I think that part of this dynasty for the Panthers, and this is no insult to Brad Marchand, is to only keep Sam Bennett and keep as much flexibility as you can have in the coming years. I'm also saying this selfishly because I want Brad Marchand to make the most money he can possibly make. And I don't want him to be tempted by things like winning and coming back to that team. Like, go be the richest man, you beautiful, perfect angel, and get as much as you possibly can. But I think there is a path. I don't think that we're going to be having dynasty conversations if they do win this series, but I do think there is a path there, and that is by keeping flexibility. What would you do with all of these guys at this point?
Well, I think Sam Bennett's coming back, and I think it's going to be a number that aggravates certain people out there. But as I understand it, Sam Bennett doesn't like new people. He doesn't want to meet new people. He's very comfortable and happy here, and this is a good team. And when the Panthers made it to the Cup final as an 8 seed, you kind of look at everybody's age and you get tricked into thinking like, okay, what kind of run is this going to be? Because Barkov's been here for a decade, but Barkov's in the prime of his career. They still have a youngish core. I know they've played a lot of hockey and it'll catch up to them. Ekblad feels like he should be in his 40s. He's still in the prime of his career. I think maybe if Ekblad probably, unless he takes a major discount, is gone to make it work. But I think Sam Bennett is going to stick around here. Moreover, I kind of think it's a foregone conclusion. So I always find it interesting when I see think pieces over there, because that's not what I'm hearing. People are pretty confident that Sam and the Panthers already have a rather flexible deal already worked out.
Will you be at any of these? Like, are you going tonight?
Yeah, I'm going tonight.
All right. Do you have a credential?
No, I don't want to go as a member of the media. I want to get really loud, yell at Brad Marchand, yell at the Oilers, drink a lot, and cry if we win. And I can't do that as a media member. I never go to events as a media member because that ruins all the fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously you would, and we all prefer when we go to these things, we like doing it in seats. We like doing it where we can see people being crazy, where we can be crazy ourselves. But I was going to say, if you had a credential, got to get on the ice after, got to find 63. He would ask he'd ask about your family. He would, oh my God, he'd win you over. He would let you hold the cup.
He'd leave you a Ring doorbell message. It'd be incredible.
Yeah. Good guy, Brad Marchand.
I'm so happy that story isn't true, by the way. Look, he's been a tremendous player, and I was on your show, and I called him a rotational winger, and I'll walk that back. He's been a tremendous bottom six forward for us, no doubt. And I think he owes a lot to that line that he is on. I told you a lot of people could replicate this on this line. Now, what he gives them defensively, that individual effort that he had in the last game is one of the more spectacular goals from an individual effort, where he doesn't even get the separation from speed. He gets a separation from strength. That is a quintessential Brad Marchand moment that he was incapable of when he played the Florida Panthers 2 years ago and effectively ended the Bruins dynasty.
All right. Well,
they had a dynasty? That's pretty nice.
Well, yeah, no, they definitely did not have a dynasty.
I like that.
Definitely did not have a dynasty.
I mean, that was a President's Trophy winner. That was the favorite out east, and he had a chance to kill the Florida Panthers in Game 5, and they never bounced back from that. They matched up the following year, and I think a good part of the legacy, if you want to talk about dynasty with the Florida Panthers, is to look what they've done to the rest of the East. They've made a lot of teams just pack it in and say, all right, we're going to start over. We cannot compete with this. Boston, Carolina, we'll see what happens this offseason. I don't think they've gotten the message. In fact, curious your opinion, I don't think Carolina's that good. If you actually rank the teams 1 through 8 in the Eastern Conference, the first round matchup would have been Carolina versus Florida. I told you guys before that series, I don't think they're good. I think they're the worst team that we played. Losing in 5 in the first round of the Florida Panthers feels a hell of a lot different than losing in 5 in the Eastern Conference final. All those teams feel so positive about them. Carolina always feels positive. This is progress. You're not. If this is an arbitrary ranking, if the teams in the Atlantic weren't beating the hell out of each other all season long, you'd be such a disappointment. You would clean house. So I'm happy Carolina actually thinks that they're good. Let them keep going. They are an afterthought. I don't sweat that team one bit. But New York decided not for us. Now Kucherov, every day that he stays in Tampa and he's not a Utah Mammoth, that means that they're not getting the point. So we'll just have to beat them next year for them to get it.
What?
Watch out for Carolina with Sam Bennett. You know, you're sleeping on Sam Bennett's next team. I kid.
That would be terrible, but they're not going to get Sam Bennett.
I don't think they're.
Where do you stand on where is like the Battle of Florida right now? Because the Panthers are on the verge of accomplishing basically the exact feat that Tampa did, in which we all called them a dynasty. 3 straight years in the Cup final, 2 wins. So like where is the Battle of Florida in the kind of like, do you hate Lightning fans? Do Lightning fans hate Panthers fans?
Yeah, we don't like them. The fact that they haven't gotten the hint and have kept trying to add to this core makes it fun. I think at the end of this, I'm happy to quickly rebut. Like, what's the total count? Well, hopefully that margin narrows after tonight, and we can have a real conversation. Tampa did great things in this state and set a standard that the Florida Panthers aspired to and failed at the hands of the Tampa Bay Lightning. And unlike other teams, unlike Carolina most notably, they got the message. They traded away arguably the face of their franchise, the franchise's all-time leader in points. They even got rid of a coach that was helming the wheel for much of the season for a team that won the President's Trophy, and they decided, you know what, we learned pretty thoroughly. We're not good enough. And I think more teams out east could take that lesson. I'm grateful that they don't.
All right, Mike, the chat has come around on you. The chat is saying like, oh yeah, this is good.
Very
They're
handsome.
Very handsome. Good hat. I think we might be doing a home and home. We might be talking to you on Friday. I don't know if you know about that. Do you know about that?
I do not know about that, and I think I'm in the host chair for Friday, so I'm glad I know about that. Great, would love to see you guys. I saw Pete appeared on Greg Cody's podcast, and it lived up to the billing. It's funny. Maybe it's because I'm not just spewing hate. I know this is a very pro Brad Marchand podcast that I'm on, and you guys do a great job of carrying water for him. Let me be abundantly clear. Still hate the guy. He can make great goals for my team. I care about the name in the front, not the one in the back. And I like you, also hope he goes out there in the free agency market and collects all the money that he needs. By God, cash in as much as you possibly can. Get the hell out of my life.
Okay, so that was a twist at the end, you saying that you didn't like Brad Marchand. Okay, I didn't know where you were leaning through this conversation.
No, he's been a good player, and I'm grateful for his contributions, and hopefully he's just a mercenary that's in here to ring chase, and he's gone.
Yeah, well, I mean, he might ring chase and also win Conn Smythe. So you were confident that he would be a passenger and you could just plug and play anybody on that third line. He's gonna win. He might win Conn Smythe.
Chat, make up tweets about nice things that Brad Marchand did for Mike Ryan.
That's right.
And then you're gonna be plastered on BR Open Ice. It's gonna be like game recognized game, and it's gonna be a picture of Brad Marchand like making you a cake.
Look, I'll deal with how disrespectful I'll be after he lifts a cup, provided that he just lifts a cup. And I was in the barn last year when they did it, and I was grateful that it wasn't the coronation of Connor McDavid capping off the greatest comeback in the history of sports. If McDavid were to come back against this team, I think Florida's that much better than they were last year. So I'm expecting I'm a little surprised, as someone that is routinely taking L's on Connor McDavid shots on goal props, that he's doing what some maybe casuals would say is being passive. I know he's really talented shooting the puck, but man, he is still dazzling out there. He's still very difficult to defend. Draisaitl's been crazy, but you mentioned the Conn Smythe. I don't think Brad Marchand deserves to be in the conversation, although I understand because of the established narrative and his name recognition. One thing that really confuses me, if you look at the lines, Sam Bennett minus 230, I guess that makes sense. What doesn't make sense to me is Sergei Bobrovsky at plus 1,000. When a goalie has put together the resume that he has consistently throughout the playoffs, usually they're in more serious conversation for Conn Smythe. And there's just something about Sergei that makes him a complete afterthought, no matter how good he is. And I heard you mention that he hasn't had the quintessential Bob game. I know that there have been some really high totals in this series. Game 4, I thought Skinner was good. I thought it could have been 6 goals in that first period. I didn't understand benching him. I thought Bob was excellent, despite Florida blowing a 3-goal lead. I think that these goalies are doing a really good job this series. And unfortunately for the Edmonton Oilers, the decision to move away from Skinner might be their undoing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought that all 3 goalies in Game 4 were good. I thought that Skinner made as many big saves in one period as Bob or Pickard had to the rest of the way. On Bob being an afterthought for Conn Smythe, it's just because he was better in the first 3 series, and that makes sense. You were playing worse teams, and he was really good in those 3 series, and I think he's been fine this series. I think that right now Bob's probably, I was having this conversation with someone recently, I was like, maybe I would go Bob with my 3rd place vote, but I probably wouldn't. It's like Conn Smythe right now, I'd probably say is Bennett, Marchand, and Draisaitl.
I'd say maybe McDavid.
Yeah, right. Or McDavid.
That's going to drive me
They both
crazy.
just have so many more points than anybody else.
No, I say, in fact, like,
in
I've been
fewer
doing
games.
hedging. The way that I hedged last year was, well, if Edmonton's going to win this series, McDavid's going to be Conn Smythe, and I have a chance for a middle there. And I got all my Panthers futures, and I somehow got the McDavid Conn Smythe. The way that I'm hedging this year is I'm playing some on Draisaitl, though I'm not sure the Canadian media would do that. I do think that I've been really impressed with the strides that Leon Draisaitl has made defensively. I think he had an incredible, like even on that Marchand winner in game 2 that kind of just slid in, that Brad it kind of didn't really get a stick on. The play that Draisaitl made to make that a difficult play for Brad was just outstanding. I had this debate with another Panther fan when they were talking about, well, McDavid's clearly the best player in this series. Who's second best? It is probably Barkov, right? And I'm like, no, because the gulf between the offensive talent that Draisaitl is and Barkov is much wider than the gulf that has slimmed down over the course of this season with Draisaitl. For his forechecking ability, he's just become a really dependable defensive forward for Edmonton. I've really been blown away by him. He was very clearly not right the last time these two teams played.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
All right, Mike, we and everybody in the chat loves you. Thanks so much. Maybe talk to you Friday, Mr. Host Boy?
Yeah, hopefully. If we don't...
You might be in Edmonton.
I'll be a barrel of nerves. But hopefully we get to be in that dynastic conversation. Hopefully you get to gloat about Brad Marchand and then quickly show him the door.
Amazing. I got the wheels turning. What if I get Brad Marchand on that? What if we get him to bomb that segment?
Do not do that to me. I don't want that. I don't want to see him.
Literally.
Look, this is not a game. This is personal, right?
Okay. Appreciate you.
Personal issue with the man. Everyone's just gonna have to accept that and move on.
All right. Well, best of luck to your team this evening. All right.
Let's go Pants.
Pants?
That's how he says that.
We
it's
wear
Mike
pants.
Ryan.
Yeah, hell yeah.
We all silly like the mayor.